Welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we are going to be talking about the latest update from Rare that is going to be coming out at the end of the month. We finally know when Season 15 is going to arrive, as well as a bunch of other stuff that's going to be coming in the meantime. So, with that said, let's get into it. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to support this content and the work that I put into it. So, thank you to A-Chick, Toasts, L-Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chonky, Captain Longsharts, Shadow Noof, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Jorby Jorbs, Carl Embo, Kylea the Aficionado, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Mutinous Max, Norwegian, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rust Belt Kid, Shoe Daddy 13, Tommy D, DN Professor, Vibralux, Wailing Witch, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, The Lore Chronologist Deadeye Dre, Hager Owl, Jeff H, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and Zamwow. Hope you like it, Zam. Anyway, with that, let's get into it. First on today's docket, we're going to be going over the news that Sea of Thieves had just recently put out. The Rare team is doing their best to put out these monthly updates, letting you know what's going to be happening in the month. There's not always a whole lot to really talk about, but it is nice that they are giving these out. It's a nice little press release that kind of says hey, this is what to look forward to in February. I really appreciate these. It helps with content, but it's also just nice to know for the sake of what can I look forward to for playing in Sea of Thieves. So we're going to be going over this in chronological order, and some of the dates may actually overlap, but everything is basically going to kick off on February 14th. So you're going to have to cancel your plans with your significant other, or going out on an adventure to find one for yourself, and you're going to have to stay home. And the reason for it is because there are specters to dispatch. So make sure that you're heading out into Sea of Thieves. Who knows? Maybe you could find someone to go sailing with, or find someone out there sailing. And that could be someone that you just meet for Valentine's Day. So if you're alone, at least you know that you're not alone, because other people are going to be going out to the Dark Fortress raids. So kicking off on February 14th, Dark Fortress raids. Before Season 15 begins, a new event is on the horizon, offering a time-limited voyage, a raid on a Dark Fortress. Running from February 14th through to the 20th, which is going to be that last week before Season 15. This event will have you facing ghost fleets and phantoms in and around sea forts. These spectral threats won't make things easy for your crew, but for those willing to take on the challenge, there's plenty to gain. Fight your way through waves of ghostly adversaries, and you can claim 2 vaults, capital V, filled with valuable loot. Now, I am not quite sure why they worded it this way. It could be just an error, but it is interesting to me that they say 2 vaults filled, because as far as I know, and maybe there's a secret vault that I don't know about, or maybe they're referring to the little attic in the sea fortresses. But as far as I know, there's only one quote unquote vault in a sea fort. So are they talking about that little attic at the very top that you got to find the special key for? In which case, I mean, I guess that technically could be considered a vault, but it's always been like a broom closet for the ghosts there. But they say it's going to be 2 vaults filled with valuable loot, and there are going to be ghost ships, which is nice because I need to get, what was it? I'm working on my, oh gosh, what are the multiple cannons called? Scatter shots. I'm working on my scatter shots. for ghost ships. And it's one of the few things that I haven't like focused on. I've been working on other stuff, which I'll talk a little bit about what I've been up to in Sea of Thieves lately. But this is going to be a good opportunity for me to work on that commendation to where I have to hit ghost ships with scattershot. So I'm very happy that these are going to be a driving force for that commendation. The other thing that was interesting about this is when they shared this, they showed a picture of, I believe it is Amaranta in her dark brethren outfit. I actually really like the image that they put up, and the image that they shared on social media is actually fairly big as far as like the actual resolution goes. So this is one that I'm probably actually going to save for the sake of having like a wallpaper, just because I don't know about you guys. I like the kind of wallpapers. Like I go to Nintendo's website from time to time, and I'll spend my I can't even remember what kind of, it's like platinum points or something. They have weird currencies, but they have like a whole wallpaper section, and Xbox does too. Actually, Xbox actually has quite a few like wallpapers that you can do. And I'm one of those ones that I like to change up my wallpapers. Like the wallpapers that I have right now are the artwork for the killing snakes with a venom dart, where it's just like an unsuspecting red snake in the middle of the forest, and there's like 4 venom darts beaming towards it, and I'm like, yes, that is appropriate. That makes me feel vindicated. I will have this as my wallpaper. I may be changing it up to the Dark Horseman, the Dark Brethren's kind of standing in front of a few ghosts, which to me is very odd, because as far as I recall, back in, I want to say 2021 or 2022. Gosh, it's been a while now. When Sea Forts first got introduced, they were something that Flameheart brought to the world. It was actually Flameheart that brought them from the Sea of the Damned, which we all know is the problem with everything that happens in Sea of Thieves. It's all stuff that's just leaking from the Sea of the Damned. I don't know who left the portal open, but for whatever reason, the Sea of the Damned has just been leaking out all these issues that we're running into. So it is kind of weird. I mean, we knew that the Dark Brethren Court had kind of retreated to their place in the Sea of the Damned, with Dark Fortresses making a return, or them being like interesting in a way. I am kind of curious to find out, like, what is it that we're going to be doing with them? Are we going to be like tying or bringing back in the Dark Brethren Court? I can't remember who had said it, but I know that someone had mentioned that we were going to be getting the Dark Brethren as like a new faction, apparently, and you know, who knows if that will actually come to fruition. But effectively, the Duke and Amaranta are back into the scope. They're back into the lens of the game, which is nice, because honestly, I think it's one of those things where it's like we need to have some of the staples of older characters that have been in the game, in the lore, for a very long time, and can like help kind of keep the story grounded. Merrick coming back is obviously like one of those situations where it's like he is helping with the introduction of the Hunter's Call and the new threats as part of the storyline. But for all intents and purposes, he does not want to be out there. He would much rather be safe in the Pirate Legend Tavern, hanging out with Belle, and just them doing their own thing, which I get it. I totally understand. If I had my druthers, I'd be doing the same thing. I stay inside all the time anyway. You know, who needs grass really, other than animals and insects? And it's not worth getting into. Grass is overrated. So yeah, February 14th through February 20th, we are going to have that week of a new event. Doesn't look like there's going to be any cosmetics tied to this, based on the news article. Doesn't look like there's going to be any rewards. Could just be loot. Doesn't say what kind of loot either. So not really sure where that's going to be, but wanted to give you all a heads up. Looking forward to finding out more about it. Really can't wait to get my scatter shots in on ghost ships so that I can actually finish up that commendation. Next on today's docket, let's talk about Stirring Seas release. This is coming February 14th as well. This is the Sea of Thieves soundtrack is continuing to grow, and this month a familiar tune gets a grand new take to celebrate the newest season. Ballad of the Mer has now been reimagined in a sweeping orchestral style and released in its own right as Stirring Seas. You'll hear this new arrangement in-game when Season 15 sets sail on February 20th. But if patience isn't your strong suit, you won't have to wait that long. Stirring Seas will be available on streaming services from February 14th, so head on over to Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, Tidal. I'm sure there are plenty of other places that I don't know about that you could probably go and listen to this as well. Very curious. Ballad of the Mer is a really beautiful song, so I'm curious to find out how they're doing it with Stirring Seas. And I think Stirring Seas is a great name given the launch of Season 15, where they are looking to sell this as kind of the, what's it called? The subtitle or the theme is Wild Things, which it's a little early for spring break, but I'm gonna let them have it on this one, to be perfectly honest. Next on today's docket, let's talk about Season 15's launch. This is coming in on Thursday, February 20th, and they say a new season approaches, bringing fresh dangers, thrilling discoveries, and plenty of pirate plunder. Season 15 arrives on February 20th, and with it comes a bounty of new features to keep the seas alive. The Hunter's Call have expanded from their lonely sea posts, now setting up shop at outposts across the Sea of Thieves, making it easier than ever to sell your finest catches. I'm really glad for this. It is still very counter to what the Sea of Thieves initiated when Hunter's Call came out. Hunter's Call came out, they put out sea posts with the intent of giving you a place to go to sell fish, to have a quiet place to fish from a dock, to give you an opportunity to go to the vendors on sea posts who would have 3 items at a discounted rate than what they would be if you were to just buy them from the actual outposts themselves. Something I don't think a lot of people remember or really talk about too much is those vendors over on sea posts having a cycling every I think it's every 3 hours. They cycle their loot, and it's typically a discounted rate. And I want to say that if I remember correctly, they were about 10% cheaper than what they would be if you were to buy them from the actual outposts. It's been a hot minute. Granted, I'm pretty sure that Hunter's Call came in 2019, which if that's accurate, then that means that it's been 5 years and some change since am I mathing right? It's 2015. Yeah, five years and some change since Hunter's Call was released, and I'm trying to recall information from back then when it was fresh. So forgive me if I'm a little off on my numbers on that one, but yeah, those sea posts were a key point, and they brought more attention to them, I think, when they brought in the message boards. And I think the message boards were nice for some things. I think that they did a good job of giving players who were kind of out and about but wanted to use some of those smaller voyages, the quicker ones that you can get, the AI ones, not necessarily the ones that people put up, but the NPC versions of them, having those accessible on sea posts did make it easier, because there were sea posts a little bit closer to some of the islands as opposed to the actual outposts. So if you wanted to go and grab a couple voyages for some of the islands that you're already going to for normal trade company voyages, the message boards were nice as kind of like a, hey, we're real close, we could probably do this, and grab a couple extra ones, get some extra chests. I think the quality needs to be increased on these, given the scale of loot in Sea of Thieves. I think they need to reassess where message board voyages are and ensure that those are falling in line with where the other voyages are for like the short-term voyages that you can do for the different trade companies. I think that might help out a bit. Or hear me out, use the message boards to generate voyages that are the same pool of voyages that emergent skeletons have. So message in a bottles, you know, and you don't even have to make them all that amazing. Just give us a way to start working towards some of those other really hard commendations that were easier back in the day, because you would go to a message in a bottle and you would find it in a barrel and it would just be a message, and you could just get the quest and it would immediately send you out, and it would be one of those like deliver a banana crate, deliver a cannonball crate, deliver a, you know, something or other, go find these gifts. I think if you took some of those harder to get emergent voyage quests from captains, because, you know, trying to find those and have it not be a PvP crate, a little bit hard. So having those populate the message board, I think would ultimately add a little bit more variety and usage out of those message boards. I think a lot more people, if they knew that those were going to have voyages, and those voyages were going to have a decent chance at discovering rag and bone crates, discovering gifts, discovering cannonball voyages, discovering banana crate or fruit crate voyages, discovering wood plank voyages, the ones from like Merchant Alliance that are just almost impossible to find naturally nowadays, the Ashen Key, the Ashen Chest voyages, trying to get some of the ones that you just cannot do anymore, the ones that are almost impossible. Do you know how hard it is to try and farm gifts? You have to go do regular skeleton forts, or you have to go sneak, you know, you have to go get the blade because there's gifts in there, or you have to try and hope that emergent skeleton voyages have them. So it's like trying to get those last few quest commendations done for the humble and the generous gifts. Not only is it already a pain in the butt to have to try and get someone to turn those in, but just to get them is also a real pain in the butt. So I don't know how we were talking about C posts and how they were implicit in making there be another point of access for players to engage with NPCs that weren't just on the outposts, but also because they didn't want to be on outposts. And yet here we are. We have them saying like, okay, well, they're going to be setting up shops on outposts now. So it wasn't enough that they had the sea posts. Sovereigns came in and said, we'll take the fish. We don't care. We'll give you the same price that they would. And then they realized it's a competitive market now. Now the Hunter's Call are going to have to step up their game. They're like, well, we upped the value of fish at sea posts to try and incentivize pirates to actually come out and actually turn the fish into us. And that still wasn't enough. So now they're going where the commerce is. Now they're saying, okay, you know what? We said we weren't going to be on outposts. We get it. You hate sailing out to sea posts. It's out of the way. You never remember. You get done. Everyone's going with the sovereigns. Fine. We will put we'll put sea posts. We'll put vendors over on the outposts as well. So if you want to turn in your fish, you can do that. My question is with the outposts now being populated with members from the Hunter's Call, emissaries, if you will, or ambassadors, I don't care what you want to call them what you will, representatives from the Hunter's Call on outposts, are they still going to offer more treasure or more gold for the fish that you turn in? And if that's the case, I would say that it would behoove the other trade companies, the Merchant Alliance, Order Souls, Athena's Fortune, and the Gold Hoarders, to start offering more money for turning in treasure to them as well. Now, convenience will generally always top this. More players are willing to sacrifice value for the sake of convenience. Look at fast food. Look at streaming services, if you think I'm messing with you. So it'll be very interesting to see if that were the case. Would people move away from sovereigns for some of the bigger ticket items that they know they can get a lot of money for, and leave some of the lesser quality items for sovereigns and just turn in a lot? Or are they just going to turn everything on into sovereigns for the captains out there with their ships? Kind of an interesting prospect. we'll have to see how it plays out, but I have lots of questions. The idea here of them having two new, and see, I can't remember if I even, no, I didn't talk about this. That's right. I got off on this weird tangent about them selling stuff or buying stuff on outposts. Okay. So the news article goes on to say, but beware, from the sea, for the seas have grown even more treacherous. Two new Megalodon variants, the feared red maw and the barnacle dread, now roam the waves, which I think it should be seas, but you know, whatever. These beasts aren't just bigger, they're meaner, with devastating new abilities that'll test even the most seasoned sailors. And they actually have a promo image of what I'm guessing is the barnacle dread, given that it has coral encrusted armor on its dorsal fin and nose/head. I'm very interested to see how this plays out, because all of the notes that we've been seeing from Merrick have been talking about an electrified megalodon. And one of the things that they talk about is new devastating abilities. Well, I'm very curious with an electric megalodon and the red maw, which hard to say like what I'm assuming it's going to be like. I'm guessing that wherever it swims will probably, like, I'm guessing that it's probably going to be really hot, and that when it swims around, the water near it will be very much like when you were next to an erupting volcano, because we know that the red maw was something that was attacking Grace Morrow over at Morrow's Outpeak. So, and I haven't read the book, so forgive me if she actually talked about some of the abilities that it had or what it did, but I'm guessing red maw, probably fire based, would be kind of cool if the bite actually set fire to the ship. Would be even cooler if the water was like super heated wherever it swam. It talks about having two megalodon variants, and with this, one of the things that I'm hoping is the case is that we see two at the same time. I want to know what it's like to fight two at the same time, because it talks about these twins in the books, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but I think it would be amazing if you were to go and do one of these raid voyages for the Hunter's Call, which I'm assuming this is probably what it'll be. And as you are doing this raid voyage, you have to work up your way to summon the megalodons using the flare system that we came up with for the shrouded. It was the Shrouded Deep adventure, where we had to summon all of the different megalodons. We had to get the little effigy, I think is what it was, or the lantern or something like that. God, it's been a while now that I've actually that we did that. Shame there isn't a way we could go back and actually play it and actually summon the different megalodons using flares, if I recall. And I'm assuming we'll probably have to do something like that because it's already built in mechanics. We'll probably get a little bit of a twist on it, but I would love if if these two new megalodons were something that you could fight at the same time. Because if that's the case, that's going to be flipping cool. That's going to be awesome. Fighting two megalodons at the same time. It's easy to take on one. It's hard when you get rared and you get like a megalodon with a skeleton ship and you know, someone's like chasing you and you're just like, wow, this is so toxic rare. But thanks for the timing. I appreciate it, kind of thing. But very, very curious to see how that turns out. I love the imagery that they have with this too. The image itself, I do have to say, let me see if I can open it up. Yeah, I can open it up. This is interesting because not only do they show a pirate riding the megalodon, which I don't know if that's just them making key art or if there's going to be some sort of interaction that you have to be able to actually try and disrupt the protective shell that it had. Like, who knows, right? No idea how this is going to work, but can't wait to find out. But they show a rowboat with 3 pirates and a very scruffy looking boar or pig. I don't think it's a boar, but I also think it might be a boar because I know like boars tend to be a little bit more chonky. This looks like a chonky pig. that's fluffy, which sounds adorable, but who knows how dangerous it is. It's not even in a cage. It's just like on the boat. And with it, there are 3 chests of different colors. Each of them has a different symbol. One of them looks like it's black with kind of a muted gold ironwork to hold the chest together. And it looks like it's got a kraken tentacle on it. The one that is like flying off the rowboat into the water is brown with a dark metal, maybe like an iron kind of style of metal work to be able to hold it together. And it has shark jaws kind of on as the logo on top of that. The other one looks like the same color as a barnacle chest or castaway chest. And the image it has, unfortunately, is actually facing away from us. So there's no way to really tell where or what that would actually be. But it does look like this is something that we will probably see in the game and be able to determine, like this is how the loot is going to be. The interesting thing about this image is I know this image is just promotional artwork because there's a brigantine in the background, and the brigantine is a completely different style of ship. Like there's a ladder and there's like the one cannon wheel or cannon well, but there's no cannon. And I'm so confused on what type of ship this is. It looks like the bowsprit is the railing for the bowsprit is actually a lot closer to the front. I honestly feel like I need to go look at a brigantine because man, does this thing look weird compared to what I'm used to. Brigantine, Sea of Thieves ship. Let me take a look here. It'd be really great if I could get just like a straight image of this thing. So nope, that is promotional artwork. Does anybody just have okay, here we go. Yeah. So yeah, looking at this image compared to the promotional artwork on Sea of Thieves' site, the brigantine itself looks much different. Oh no, it is the normal one. Okay, they just don't have the cannon wells or the cannons on there. It's like they deleted the cannons from the actual ship to get a clear image of it. But yeah, no. Okay, it's just a weird perspective. False alarm. We're not getting a new ship. Sorry, folks. Didn't mean to get your hopes up there. But yeah, the image totally just used for the sake of creating promotional artwork. It looks like we're getting some new Hunter's Call liveries because these ones look a little torn and a little tinted compared to the standard set that we have when you turn level 50. There's no mention of new fish, which is interesting. Maybe that might be something that they actually bring up because I'm fully anticipating there to be other fish that we have to catch or things we have to do. But they go into talk about how that isn't all with the Hunter's Call. There's going to be new voyages, hunting spears, untamed wildlife, and plenty more surprises to arrive throughout the season. So I'm very curious how these hunting spears are going to work out. Because we have grapple guns, we have harpoons, we have tridents of dark tides. So a hunting spear, for all intents and purposes, I'm hoping is something that is for megalodons and that you can grab them and kind of Ahab in the white shrouded ghost kind of like huck it at a megalodon and have it do like a good amount of damage, have it do like an amount of damage that you would want to do with like a cannon, maybe even a little bit more than a cannonball. Or maybe that's how you actually have to like stun it. God, imagine if a hunting spear it could actually be for wildlife though. That's something I hadn't really thought about, like actually hunting wildlife, untamed wildlife. I really hope we get some ground threats in this because we don't have, well, I mean, we do have ground threats, but it's either skeletons or ghosts. And on the rare occasion, you'll run into an ocean crawler. So yeah. Oh, by the way, Rusty, it was the Dark Brethren court tall tale to go get your ocean crawler kills with the venom dart. That's what you wanted to know about, by the way. So yeah, I'm very curious to see like how the hunting spears work, how much damage they do, if we'll be able to tell how much damage they'll do. A little bit of Sea of Science. How many cannon shots does it take to kill one of these new megalodons versus how many hunting spears, if that's what you're using them for? chances are you're probably just using them on what's it called, wildlife, like boars and whatnot. I don't know. You think we'll get panthers? I don't think we're going to get panthers. Who knows? But yeah, looking forward to this. That's like the main thing with season 15. The one thing that I did want to bring up is a good reminder that Godhammer, one of the patrons, community members, wanted to remind everyone, and this is him reminding you, because I knew this was a thing, but I hadn't really thought too much of it. But he wanted to make sure that people were aware that they are going to be trickling out bits of stuff for season 15. So it's not going to be February 20th, boom, we get everything in the season. It's like, they're going to slowly release little bits of this. Now, I don't know if they're going to break up the Hunter's Call expansion into little bits. They may turn some things on, turn some things off, test and see how like the code is doing, if it's all right. We'll have to see. But based on that, I would expect that anything else that is expected beyond just Hunter's Call will get rolled out in the coming months. So don't expect everything at launch. Expect everything to kind of roll out little by little, see how things play, make sure the servers are still doing okay, that they're not too bugging, kind of look at it like that. Make sure that people are being able to enjoy the game without the new update just absolutely devastating servers and ticking people off. You know what I mean? So thank you to Godhammer for the reminder. So I wanted to make sure that you guys all knew that he wanted that to be something that was communicated in the podcast as well too. Next up on today's docket, let's talk about Twitch drops and game blasts. So starting February 20th through the 24th at the beginning of season 15, if you tune in to any Sea of Thieves streamer showcasing the newly added features, remember that you can actually get rewarded for that through Twitch drops. Now, you're already going to hate me for this, but I'm going to tell you, you're getting Eastern Wind's Ruby shirt and gloves, as well as a Seaweed Sailor speaking trumpet. There's also going to be the Gilded Voyage of the Ancient Isles. So they don't really tell us what is going to be in the Gilded Voyage of Ancient Isles, but we are getting more Twitch drops, and yes, they are Eastern Winds themed and Seaweed Sailor themes. It's free stuff. I'm hoping that, come soon in the future that we will be getting a different theme of cosmetics, not just the color schemes for the sets that we have right now. Rare seems very set on sticking with the Eastern Winds and Sailor stuff right now, but I'm hopeful. I think that there's a possibility for us to get some new stuff in the future, but for all intents and purposes from now on, I'm just going to keep getting these Twitch drops because far be it for me to be the person that sits there and says, these are ugly or these are tired and old. I'm sure someone out there is absolutely loving this in the same way that someone loves the Obsidian set and can't wait for the rest of the Obsidian set, that kind of thing. So make sure that you guys get your Twitch drops. It's only going to be going for 4 days, which is typically only about 3 days based on when they actually start versus when they actually end and how much time people need to sleep. If they're doing this, they're going to be doing 4, I believe. One is the Gilded Voyage, I think is part of the drop, but I'm not entirely sure if that's the case or not, in which case expect about 4 hours worth of viewing time for your Sea of Thieves streamers. Next, Game Blast 2025, the 2025 version of it. They call it Game Blast 2025 or 25. Kicking off Friday, February 21st and going till Sunday, February 23rd. The reason this is important is it is a streaming event to raise funds for Special Effect. If you don't know what Special Effect is, it is effectively the charity organization that helps with people who have disabilities to get the controllers, to get the additions, to get the means to get back into gaming. And this could be something that's temporary. This could be something that's permanent. The severity varies based on case-by-case basis, but the idea is very simple. Getting people to be able to play games. Sea of Thieves is one of the best games out there as far as accessibility goes. Topher and the team over there work really hard with many different advocates for disabilities to try and develop more tools for people to be able to continue to engage with Sea of Thieves. It's why we have like the sound effect when you're aiming at something and it kind of clicks when it gets closer and closer to beating in on an actual enemy when you're on the cannons or when you're aiming a pistol. It's why we have the reduce to hold. It's why we have the high contrast X marks the spots. So many things in this game. The auto float, the one joystick control system. So many of these things are developed with the mindset to keep players engaged in the game, to keep gamers gaming. When you have a disability, it's always much harder to be able to do that. And you start to find out that there are a lot of games that don't cater in the way that they could with their accessibility features. I'm really happy to see when games do some really amazing stuff like Forza Horizon or The Last of Us. I'm also really bummed when some companies who are big don't necessarily put in something as simple as settings for subtitles, settings for speech to text or text to speech, things like that. Readability on screens, things like that. So Game Blast is a way to try and raise funds through donations to help support that kind of a charity. Special Effect is the one that is the most prominent out in the UK. So there are some in the US. There's actually quite a few. My personal favorite one is Able Gamers. I think that Able Gamers is the one that I've kind of tried to donate to the most when it comes to actual like looking for charities and stuff like that. So Steven Spawn, like one of the nicest guys out there, genuinely one of the, he is willing to continuously put himself down for the sake of humor, because he knows that if he brings levity to what he can do and what he can't do, then it makes people feel more comfortable with talking about disability, talking about not being able to play games the same way that everyone else gets to. So Able Gamers, if you have an opportunity, if you aren't interested in donating for Special Effect because you're local in the United States and you want to do something to help disabled gamers in the United States, I would point you to Able Gamers. There's also other different charities as well that do the same thing, but that would be my go-to if you're more inclined to donate to one that you know will go towards local. There's also Extra Life. Extra Life is huge as well too. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because Rare's stream team is going to be streaming, and they're going to be doing it on Saturday, the 22nd. So if you want to watch the stream team, the community stream team, which arguably, I talked about this a couple episodes, smaller group, not everyone streams anymore. Not everyone actually streams Sea of Thieves anymore. But aside from the strength of the community stream team, I would urge you to engage with Game Blast if you can. Obviously, I'm not guilt tripping anyone on this, but it's one of those things that I do love to see when folks can come together and help support these kind of causes. Extra Life, Able Gamers, Special Effects are like the top three that I go to when it comes to like, I want to donate. These are the places that I want to go donate to, because they're going to bring people into gaming and help them enjoy their time doing stuff the same way I do. And that means a lot to me. So, from Friday the 21st through Sunday the 23rd is Game Blast. It doesn't matter where you go. If you want to go hang out with Sea of Thieves devs and other streamers and stuff like that, they're going to be engaging with it. But I really appreciate that they have this out there. It's nice to see these kind of things. Like November is typically when Extra Life kind of does their thing for that. I usually during October is when the kind of Able Gamer push is going. So this is kind of like the tail end of the charity events that I see, but they do go on quite a bit of time. And if you're ever curious about that, there's always a couple websites that I could probably direct you to for getting involved if you wanted to, stuff like that. So with that, just kind of leave it at that. Hope you guys all get a chance to check it out and try and engage with the community over there. It's just nice to see people from time to time and actually say hi. Wish them the best. If you can donate, awesome. You don't have to. They're going to be doing it all month, but this is the time that they're going to be like pushing it and doing like an actual live stream, stuff like that. So wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. So
those aren't pieces of 8. They're just pieces of junk.
Aye, the original plan was to use 9 pieces of 8 to bind Calypso, but when the first court met, the brethren were to a 1. Skint broke.
All right, pirates. So, last week I got a lot of people thanking me for, well, not a lot of people. I got a few people thanking me for the tip about the ocean crawlers. And I wanted to kind of give you guys a bit of a heads up on one other one, as I've been kind of working through some of these. I've been finding some really fantastic people on the seas. The more I use the speaking trumpet when sailing up to people, the more I'm finding new pirates who have their own desires. And I met someone the other day who is been playing the Sea of Thieves for quite a while, many years, dips in, dips out, but only does gold hoarders. Only does gold hoarders. Nothing more, nothing less, just gold hoarders. The only other factions that he has actually gone to purposefully do has been small things that he picks up along the way that are not a gold hoarder voyage, but he does just gold hoarder stuff. So I found him, talked him into doing some commendations to helping out, managed to find another ship where I convinced the guy who was logging out if I could get his ship. He agreed. He added me as a friend, and then I took his captain ship, sailed it around. So we had 3 sloops on a server between me, Achik, and the gentleman that we were doing. And we were just working on accommodations. So here's the tip that I found out. Now, if many of you have been working on the Pirates of Mischief commendations, there are a few of these that are just dumb. They are just dumb. I don't like them. I think they're too what's it called, specific to really like I don't like them. So we're going to be talking about Secret Snare Setter, which is on the 3rd page of the Pirates of Mischief commendations. It's on the 3rd row in the 2nd column. You'll have to take an Excel spreadsheet course if you want to understand what those mean. But for those of you who have found it and following along, thank you. First off, you have to dispatch pirates 5 times with buried traps. Now, in my mind, trying to set a trap in a place where a pirate will step on it is already asking a lot. But to ask them to step on a trap that is buried and with enough health to kill them is almost impossible, which is why when they say do it 5 times, I think that the average person who does this naturally is going to take about 5 years to get this done. It will probably equate to 1 pirate per 365 days that you manage to bury a trap somewhere where they will step on it. And low to the pirate who's just walking around with 10% of their health left, because boy howdy must it suck to have to sit there and be like, I can't believe I just died to this buried trap and I was not paying attention and no one around to get me up. But kudos to the intelligent person who managed to kill me as I was walking out of the tavern somehow with almost no health. So Secret Snare Setter, what I found to work for this: find someone on a server, convince them to help you. If you can get that, then that's going to be great. But the main goal is to try and get someone to work with you on this. And if you can, then great. That is your in for this commendation. What you want to make sure that you have, first off, 5 traps. I know it's a little obvious. Hear me out. 5 traps. You also want to make sure that you have 4 coconuts. You're going to go over to your armory or an armory, whether it be on an outpost. I recommend an outpost. You're going to go and you're going to equip your double barrel pistol. Here's what you're going to do. You want to get someone to as low of a health as possible, hopefully roughly about 10%, so that they will die. 3 sword swipes is not going to be enough. An eye of reach shot is not going to be enough. I think, based on the testing that I did, that 2 double barrel pistol shots should bring someone down with enough health to die to a buried trap. What you'll then do is get into an alliance with this crew so that they can res you. The easiest thing there is because when you get resurrected, you come back with a certain amount of health. And when you come back with that certain amount of health, you can take one coconut, eat that coconut, and have the other person shoot you with one shot from their double barrel pistol. That will take you down to just the right amount of health that if you were to walk on a buried trap, it will kill you. And that counts as your second kill. You're going to want to repeat this process, have them resurrect you, eat one coconut, and take one double barrel pistol shot to the face so that you can then die by walking on another buried trap. You're going to do this 5 times and you will have the secret snare setter taken care of. I hope this helps you. I hope you guys appreciate these. I'm going to be looking at some of the other commendations in the Pirates of Mischief, like things that I absolutely hate, and kind of give you guys some hints, tips, tricks, things you can do to try and get some of these knocked out, because it is a real shame that these are so situational. So it's already hard to try and get someone in voice comms to not kill you. It's hard enough to get someone who's not going to be toxic to you. So if you can get someone on their ship to help you out, do an alliance and get this done. Hope this helps you guys. Let's go on. All right, pirates, that's going to do it for this episode of the Keelhauled podcast. If you enjoyed it, please consider checking out the Patreon. Please consider subscribing, liking things on YouTube, following on Spotify, rating it on iTunes, or no, what is it called? It's Apple Podcast now. I think it's Apple Podcast now. That always helps. By the way, I did actually get a review. If I recall, this is one that came in a bit ago. And I forgive me for not checking the store for these on a regular basis, because I genuinely don't really open the iTunes podcast or app that often, but I did actually get a review over there, and I like to read out the reviews. So if you guys do, just bear in mind, it may be a bit before I actually go check the app, but I do like to read these out for folks. So I did get a review on January 25th, 2025. Best podcast on Sea of Thieves by far. CaptainLogun barely ever misses an episode, and conversations are informative and interesting. Love it. So thank you to DeRazor Laser for the 5-star review. And to kind of speak to that too, I do try not to miss every episode. This last year has been a real test for me, with not only with the game, but also just in my personal life. And some folks have understood what's going on in my personal life, and I don't expect that to be an excuse, but it is something that did impact my cadence. And as a result of that, I did miss episodes, and sometimes there was no news to actually jump into. Now that we're getting into more news, we're getting a regular cadence with the content and stuff. I'm looking forward to keeping on a regular schedule with this. I like when I have something to share with folks every Monday. I hope that it's one of those things that they're excited every Monday to get something to listen to kick off their week, because how many of us love getting into work on Monday morning and just sit there and there's nothing to listen to kind of help you with that post weekend Sea of Thieves sailing session. You're just like, yeah, back to the grind. Let's get to that Friday, can we? So we can hop on Sea of Thieves, or hop on Sea of Thieves later on Monday and stuff. You just need something to get you past through the rest of the week. So I hope you guys are finding this content helpful for that. I enjoy doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can justify doing it. But I do appreciate the reviews. The YouTube has been doing better. I've been putting up shorts, so I appreciate the folks over there helping out, as well as those who have been checking out the streams. I'm in the process of playing Avowed, Xbox's next first-party title for Xbox Expansion Pass, the podcast that I do with Luke Lore. So streams are kind of on hold for the most part, because I'm trying to get that game knocked out. And I can't talk about it because I'm under NDA, but I will be able to talk about it come the 13th when our embargo lifts, and we'll be able to talk about our review and the game in its state. So if you have any interest in that, if it's a Xbox adjacent kind of thing and you like to check out Xbox games, whether you're on PC, Xbox, your phone, everything's an Xbox. I think a fridge is an Xbox now. So, you know, if that's where you play your video games through Game Pass, then if Avowed is something that you're interested in, I'm going to be working on doing a spoiler cast about a week or so after the game's release for folks. So that's going to be something that I talk about over there. But for Sea of Thieves content, Discord is always a great place to go. Just look in the show notes for links to get in there. Patreon's a great way to help support this content, to keep it going so that I can keep paying the bills for the software that I use and the hosting, as well as just putting out, you know, more content and having reasons to actually like pushing stuff out to YouTube and whatnot. So thank you to everyone, as I listed at the beginning of the episode, all the patrons. Thank you to everyone that just listens, that engages in the Discord, on social media, and the Twitch server or Twitch channel, and YouTube. Anywhere you guys talk or share or discuss it, always appreciate it. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Thank you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.